Hey everybody, and welcome to Cinema Heroes. I'm Jay Stu.
I'm Alex Thomas.
And today we are talking about Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest. Released in 2006, directed by Gore Verbinski, written by Ted Elliott, Terry Rossio, and Stuart Beattie, and starring Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, Orlando Bloom as Will Turner, Keira Knightley as Elizabeth Swann, Bill Nye as Davy Jones, and Jonathan Pryce as Governor Weatherby Swan, along with many, many others that I will not name because it's too many to name. But those are the important people.
Yes.
I got Alex here with me because Justin is a bit under the weather, but we are recording nonetheless. Thank you, Alex, for joining me. We were both very, very excited to do this movie.
Yes, sir.
I'll let you go first. Do you have a first memory of watching this movie?
Why, I do, sir. So I wasn't privileged to go to the theater to see this. Actually, going back to the first movie, I remember watching the first movie at my grandparents' house because they actually had the DVD. And I remember everyone talking about this movie. I'm like, what is this? Pirates of the Caribbean. Obviously, you call it Caribbean. I call it Pirates of the Caribbean. Tomato. I remember watching it, just like tomato, right? I remember watching it, I'm like, oh, this movie is actually really, really good. Like, it has nice, like, horror elements and also fun action adventure elements. Like, it was a lot of everything put into one movie. And knowing they were going to do a second one, I was pretty excited as well. Because I think the first one came out 2003 and this one's come out 2006. So it was like a 3-year like gap from each movie. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing the preview for this and I was so upset because I know I couldn't go see it in theater. I remember Disney Channel was promoting a lot of it as well, I think at the time.
Yeah.
And when I first saw it, I saw it on Stars. It was on Stars. It was like one of their premieres on one of the, like either Saturday night or something like that, where it came on Stars.
Yeah, Saturday night at 8.
Yeah, I watched it and then... Yeah, and I watched it, and then they had like the Western channel, like you get two different channels, like East and West. So I waited to that time to watch it again because I really, really enjoyed it. And I made sure every time it came on Stars, I made sure I watched it. It was that good. And I really do enjoy this movie. Obviously, me and you are probably the same, where I like this movie over the first movie. This is my favorite one in the franchise. And I just feel like with this movie, I love the way they expand the world of the pirates and expand like the rules of, certain things that they expand on in this movie when it comes to Davy Jones and the Kraken and, all that different stuff, like everything Jack Sparrow is. Obviously, Jack Sparrow has a past and his past is catching up to him. I love all the elements as well. I love Johnny Depp performance. I even like Orlando Bloom. A lot of people hate on Orlando Bloom in these movies. I don't understand why. He's not Legolas, we know, but he's not Legolas. He's Will Turner, guys. Like, he's a totally different character from that guy. And everybody wanted him to be Legolas in this movie, and he's not. Legolas is an elf. They're like perfect beings. Will Turner is a human. He has flaws, guys. But I like Keira Knightley as well. She was kind of pissing me off throughout the movie as well with some of the choices that she was making, but I digress. I really did enjoy this movie, and I'm very excited to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. The first time I saw this was in high school when I was it was during a period in my life when I was watching a whole bunch of movies. I watched all 3 movies. I got them from the library when I was watching a bunch of movies. I was just going to the library every day and just renting out like 5 movies at a time and watching them. And I didn't really get into like pirates at all until I saw these movies. And this was after all 3 of them had come out.
Right.
So I watched the first one. I was like, yo, that was really cool. That was really interesting. And like you said, it blended all these different elements, the horror and adventure and fantasy and this pirate world that we had never seen before. We hadn't seen there have been other pirate movies, but it hadn't been
Right.
that elaborate before.
Yeah.
And the way that they did that was amazing. So I was definitely excited to watch the second one the next day. And I agree with you. The Dead Man's Chest was even better than the first one.
Yeah.
For the same reasons. It expanded the world. We got new characters. Davy Jones is a fantastic villain. I love Davy Jones in this movie. But for a long time, I did believe that this was the best one. When I won't say for a long time. For maybe like the past 4 or 5 years, I thought it was the best one because my favorite was At World's End because it was so big and so epic.
My issue with At World's End is it's just too long. It just feel like it's just too long.
It's long. It's really long.
And you feel the runtime. I was watching this one, and I was trying to see if I was gonna feel the runtime. This movie is pretty lengthy as well. I can't remember exactly how long it is, but
2 hours and 31 minutes.
It feels it. I figured it was that 2.5 hour mark. But I was wondering if I can feel it. And maybe I'm just so engrossed with the story. There are sequences in this movie that do go on pretty long as well. So
yeah,
but I agree with you.
Most
I think
of those sequences
are
on the Flying Dutchman that kind of feel that long. Yeah. You kind of feel that length.
Yeah. I was like you too. When I first saw At World's End, I was like, that was just it was like I wish they would have ended it with that one because I felt like it ended it. Like all 3 movies just ended like perfectly. That was it. But after watching over the franchise, I always gravitate towards this one. I can always pop on this one and watch it and enjoy it. Even though obviously it ends in a cliffhanger, but I still could just watch it and enjoy it as a movie.
Yeah, that this rewatch that I did for this episode, I don't get me wrong, I still love this movie. I still enjoy this movie. I wasn't enjoying it quite as much as I once did. And I'm interested to see how I'll feel about At World's End because it's been a long time since I've watched At World's End. Because I was supposed to go through the trilogy last year and I stopped at Dead Man's Chest. I just never got around to At World's End. But when we do get to it, I'm interested to see how I feel about it because my enjoyment for this one went down a tiny bit, but I still love the movie.
I'm ready to hear your reasons why.
Part of that reason was because you do feel that length in some of the scenes, and there's quite a bit of it that is set up. I know Justin has stated before that he didn't like this movie because it was a setup for the third movie, which is true. But I still really enjoy the movie nonetheless. That being said, I felt the length and the setup for this particular watch, but it's still a wonderful movie. I still love how they expand the world. We don't get a whole lot of Keira Knightley, Elizabeth Swann. We don't get a whole lot of her in this movie. But we get more. Well, we get her, but we don't get her as much as we did in the first one.
Right.
It's really mostly Orlando Bloom and Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Again, I felt the length, but I still enjoy the movie. I love the new characters. I love Tia Dalma. Tia Dalma is one of my favorite characters in this franchise. This was the first
Naomi Watts'
role.
character, right?
Naomi Harris, yeah.
Naomi Harris. I said Naomi Watts.
Yeah,
she looks unrecognizable in this movie.
Yeah, she's unrecognizable. When I saw the next thing I saw her in, I think it might have been Skyfall was the next thing I saw her in, and I was flabbergasted that those two characters were the same person.
Same actress,
I could not believe it. She is a chameleon. She can do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she was so convincing as Tia Dalma, and she was so interesting. Like her character is so just I don't even have a word for it. Like she's just so cool.
I agree with you. I love all the new characters as well. Like I said, I think Davy Jones really stole the show for me by the way he looks, by his presence on screen. The CGI to me still holds up, and it came out in 2006.
My God, the CGI is wonderful.
Looks good. I know we didn't obviously show the Blu-ray when we first started, but this Blu-ray looks amazing, and you can definitely tell it's one of the older Blu-rays because it has the little silver lining at the edges of it. But the movie looks fantastic on Blu-ray. Oh my God, the visuals, the shots, the way this movie is shot. To me, I feel like it definitely was a step up from the first movie. This movie just feels more grander, more cinematic. It just feels bigger than the first movie. And it's I love it, man. I just love it, man. It's just everything about it. I love the action set pieces. Like I know we're gonna talk about those a little bit later, but I just the way they do some of these sequences is big. It's big.
Yeah. Everything you said, I'm gonna just echo it. It definitely feels like a bigger movie. You definitely get that sense of scale with this movie. The first one was like a horror adventure. This still has a lot of that horror, but it definitely feels way more like an adventure movie than the first one. And I really love that about this movie.
I was about to say, this movie feels, well, the way the movie opens, it feels a lot darker than the first movie, even though we had like the curse and them looking like skeletons and stuff. But like there's scenes where like Captain Jack Sparrow is about to be eaten alive by cannibals. Like if you think about things like that, it's like it's like we opened up the movie with like guys throwing caskets in like the water and stuff. It's like it's a lot of that's the one thing I love about it, is that they took the more darker element with these movies.
Yeah, it's a lot of dark humor in all three of these movies that's part of the character of these movies. That's part of the charisma and the appeal of these movies. And I really it really makes for an interesting watch to this type of movie. It feels right for a pirate movie, that pirates would have dark humor like that. So I like that. Real quick, let's get into the synopsis. So the movie starts out with Will and Elizabeth Swann. Their wedding is getting interrupted because they are under arrest by Lord Cutler Beckett, who is played by what's his name? I've seen him in like 5 or 6 movies and I never remember his name. Tom Hollander, Tom Hollander, yeah. So they're under arrest for aiding and abetting Jack Sparrow, but he has a proposition for Will.
Lord Bennett, is it Beckett? Is Beckett or
Lord
Bennett?
Beckett? Which one?
Yeah, Beckett.
Yeah, it's Beckett.
He wants Will to confront Jack Sparrow because he wants his compass. For some reason, he wants the compass because he believes that the compass. It basically gives you if whatever you want, it's gonna lead you to the thing that you want most, and he gives.
And we don't know what that is yet.
Right at the moment, yes. And he basically gives Will a deal like, you bring me the compass, and you and your wife will go free. But I think at the end, I do believe that he wasn't going to do that. I do believe that he was not going to let them go free, and he was probably just going to kill Jack. Either one of those two. I don't believe that he was actually going to do this deal at all. But the one thing I do like, and this is kind of gives us our characters to set out on this epic journey, that they all go through, all together. But my always thing is, what was really so special about this compass? It's so funny because even Jack just doesn't believe that it works at sometimes,
Yeah.
And then there's certain times where it feel like it does work. It's like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, because Jack has the black pearl now. He got the pearl back at the end of the last movie, and he don't know where to go. He tried.
Right.
They're asking him like, what are we looking for?
What's our headache?
And he goes,
Do we have a headache?
right? He's, what's our headache? And he's trying to. He wants to find this key, but he doesn't know what direction to go in, because the compass is just going all over the place. And I always interpreted that as he really don't know what he wants.
Yeah. And that's true, because even what's her name said, like, oh, Jack Sparrow just doesn't know what he wants. That's why it keep going all over the place.
Right. Yeah. Because he had what he wanted was the pearl, and he has the pearl. What more could he want?
Right.
So he meets up with Will's long deceased father, Bootstrap Bill Turner, and he's looking all gnarly. And I love the way the crew of the Flying Dutchman look. Oh my God, that is one of my favorite aspects of the film, is the way they look. They're made of like
talking about Davy Jones's
crustaceans
crew.
And barnacles and oh my God, it looks amazing.
Yeah. Another thing where I say I think the CGI holds up for real with, by the way Davy Jones's crew look. I mean, some of them look like they're definitely CGI heavy, but some of them look really good. I always thought like the hammerhead like fish guy looks pretty good as well.
Yeah, I think the only person that's a real person is Bootstrap. I think everybody else is CGI.
Yeah.
Jack meets up with Bootstrap Bill, and he's now with the crew of the Flying Dutchman, who is the captain is Davy Jones, obviously, but we learn that Jack is indebted to Davy Jones, because he gave him the Black Pearl, and I think it was for 13 years.
Yeah. Yep.
And now that 13 years is up, and so now he gotta pay the piper now.
Yep.
He meets back up with Will, and he sends Will onto the Flying Dutchman to settle his debt. Davy Jones is not having it.
He said 100 souls. He was supposed to bring 100 souls.
100 souls. And Davy Jones looks amazing, by the way. Like you said, the CGI still holds up. It looks better than pretty much all of Phase 4 and Phase 5 of MCU. It's so good. Dave, I was watching it with my kids, and my daughter was like, "Daddy, is that an octopus?" I was like, "Kinda." I was like, his head is an octopus. His beard is made of tentacles like an octopus, but he's a man. He's a person.
Right. Yeah,
and I always thought that was an interesting concept. I want to know like who came up with that. Who decided to make Davy Jones's head a cephalopod?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty interesting because like even like the way he uses the tentacles for certain things, or like when he's like when you first see him on screen, he's like smoking a pipe, and like he doesn't have nose nostril. He has like his nostrils on the side of his head that he blows the smoke out of and stuff like that. So like it was very interesting the way they chose to design Davy Jones. I mean, I like it. Like even when he's playing like the organ and stuff, right? He's using the tentacles to play the organ. Yeah. It's like, man, it's pretty interesting.
And then he got a claw for a hand. Like, oh my God, it's just the character design and the world building in this movie is top notch, and it's just I can't get enough of it.
Yes.
So yeah, Jack has to get 99 souls, or no, 100 souls, but he has one down because Will counts as a soul. Right. So he has to get 99 more. So he kind of like holds tryouts for the crew of the Black Pearl, and one of the people at this bar is Commodore Norrington from the first movie, and all he wants to do is kill Jack, which is perfectly understandable.
Yeah, because clearly something has happened that we didn't see that got him
Right.
to the way he was. Because obviously at the end of the first movie, he was okay. He was nice. He was, he was basically still, I don't know if he was a lord or not, but he was still, working for the government, whatever. So clearly something happened that he's not now this drunken guy that's at Tortuga. But we totally skipped enough. Like, I know I mentioned the whole Jack Sparrow be eaten by cannibals, but we totally like skipped over that entire sequence. But so, Will's comes across the Pearl because he's asking everybody around, have you seen Jack Sparrow? And like, oh, we haven't seen Jack Sparrow, but there's a ship on this beach, and it turns out Jack is like kind of, him and the crew is captured by these cannibals. And they see Jack Sparrow as a god, and they say the only way to release him from his godly form, they have to eat him. And
to eat him.
the whole thing, it's hilarious. This whole sequence is insane. Like, we got the crew like stuck in these cage, like bone cages. The one half of the crew like falls to their deaths. And Jack Sparrow is getting chased by all of these cannibals. It's hilarious. I love this entire sequence. It's this sequence, and of course the sequence with the 3-way fight towards the end of the movie. That's just like this movie is a straight roller coaster, man, for real.
Now, I will say, as funny as that sequence was, that's one of the sequences where I felt the length. I was like, don't remember this part being so long. But like I said, it was still funny, and we see the two guys from the first movie. I forget their names. Yeah, but they're trying to steal the pearl. While they're on the island trying to get Jack. Yeah, it's like we got it ready for you.
It's like, and then somehow they become a part of the crew. It's funny because when Jack gets on the ship and see them, he just do like a double take, like, wait.
Right.
Okay. He just accepts it. Like, okay, you guys are here now, Evan. Let's go ahead and just, let's just move on to the next adventure.
Right. Because they was part of the mutiny with Barbossa before the events of the first movie.
Right. And I want to say this. Like, I know we've talked about characters. Johnny Depp, man, it's just, he was born to play this character. Obviously, he's played all these over the top characters, but like, most people know him as Jack Sparrow, man. It's like, if anybody deserved to win an Oscar or at least be nominated from anything crazy, like this is definitely it. Like he is this character. He's another actor that just becomes unrecognizable with most of the roles he does.
No, I agree. He is just he was born to play that role, and like the movies, especially with the first movie and this movie, the movies are about Jack Sparrow, but we kind of see it through see him through the eyes of Will and Elizabeth, more specifically Will, and I really think that's an interesting approach to telling this story of Jack Sparrow, and I think that's why these first 3 movies work so well, and maybe not so much on Stranger Tides, because I do like On Stranger Tides, but the difference between On Stranger Tides and these first 3 films is that Jack is the main character, and we're seeing things through Jack's eyes. We haven't seen that in these first 3 movies. We're seeing things through Will's eyes, even though the focus is on Jack. So it's a really interesting way to kind of tell that story. But like I said, I agree with everything you said. He was born to play this role, and he knocks it out of the park every single time, even in the not so great movie that we haven't talked about. But so Elizabeth is in jail. Yeah. But her dad breaks her out, and then Lord Beckett puts her dad in jail, and then sends Elizabeth to offer the letters of Marquis to Jack in return for the compass. Yes. And that's when Jack meets up with voodoo chick Tia Dalma. And that's where we learn that the key unlocks the dead man's chest, which has the heart of Davy Jones. and we get a little bit of backstory on Davy Jones. Because the legend says he fell in love with the sea. Tiadama says that he fell in love with a woman.
Yes.
But she also says that they're one and the same, which is revealed later. We're not gonna get into that right now, but I love the reveal. Right. I love the reveal.
And it's kind of, you kind of, once it's funny because she points at herself as she's explaining it. And it's like, okay, like, I guess you're foreshadowing, you're foreshadowing a lot. And another thing, watching this movie, you can feel that you knew they were going to make another one. Like, you definitely tell they were going to do these back to backs. I think the next one did come out in the next year. So I want to know whether or not they were actually setting up what they did in That World's End from this movie. Especially the way they told the story about how,
Yeah, I'm 100% sure that they wrote both of these movies at the same time and just planted the seeds of the third one in this one. Which again, I did feel some of that this time, but it didn't bother me tremendously. It's just a tad, like a tiny bit less enjoyable than previous watches. But for me, that's a nitpick. I know, if Justin was here, that'd be a little bit more than a nitpick. But to me, it wasn't really that big of a deal because I just love this movie so much. So Tia gives Jack a jar of dirt to protect him against Davy Jones, because Davy Jones could only come on land once every 10 years.
Yeah, once every 10 years,
because of the curse,
Which was very strange because like he carries around the jar of dirt. That does that mean Davy Jones can't come near him? Like, I was always confused when it comes to him having the dirt.
Right, because he would, if he came near him, he was going to throw the dirt on him. That's what I assume.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he can't touch land for 10 years. So, because we see,
I was thinking of a sequence
in the third movie, he's standing in a bucket of water.
In a bucket of water, yeah.
How he got in that bucket of water, I don't know, but
who knows? His crewmen picked him up because somehow they can step on land. His crew can step on land, but he can't.
Right. They're not cursed. Well, I mean, they're cursed, but they don't have that particular part of the curse on them, so they can step on land as they please. But yeah, Jack sends Will to settle his debt, and then he meets his dad on the Flying Dutchman.
Which I love the way he actually sees his dad.
Yeah, who's played by Stellan Skarsgård,
which is amazing. But I love the way he sees it. Well, when Bill sees Will, it's funny. Bill sees Will for the first time. When they're like doing something on the boat, and he's like, "Hey, how about you do give us a hand, Mr. Turner?" And both of them look like, okay, they're talking to me, and they both like run up to do the deed.
Yeah.
And Stellan Skarsgård's face when he sees him, like, oh my God, Will, why are you here? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And
because he already know what it is. He's like, bro, like you signed your life away, bro.
Right. But then when he told him, like, no, I didn't do that. I'm here to, he didn't know exactly what we're getting into when it comes to actually being there.
Yeah, but he's played by the brilliant Stellan Skarsgård, who's an amazing actor. And on the ship, they're playing like this dice game, and I forget. Like, do you remember how it goes? Like it's like they're like taking turns bluffing and trying to call each other on their bluff.
Yeah, I thought it was like you guess how many they have underneath the cup, and if you guess right, I guess, or if you call them bluff, you win, I guess. I never really understood the game. Even when I was watching yesterday, I was trying to figure out what was the deal. I know what they're betting on. They were betting on how long they were going to be on the ship. And that's what gave Will the idea. It was like, all right, I'm about to bet, I'm gonna play against Davy Jones so I can bet, to get off the ship, bet my, my life sentence. And obviously he somehow he wins, but I love that Davy Jones kind of flip it on him. It's like, oh yeah, we'll let you off the ship whenever we make port. Like, you know, it's like it can be forever we make port, you know.
It could be whenever, right? But the thing was, like, Will wasn't trying to win the game. He was just trying to figure out where the key was.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he told his dad, he was like, why did you do that? I didn't need you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So he gets the key, and I guess I know I'm probably missing a couple scenes, but I'm trying to think of he jumps off the boat because Davy Jones finds out the key is gone, but Will leaves and he gets onto another boat, which we also skipped.
Oh yeah, Elizabeth the Kraken. Swan, yeah.
Elizabeth Swan was on the same boat that Will got on, and this whole infatuation with the dress, she was like making the dress, you know, do certain things and make him, basically made him go to Tortuga. Yeah. So Will runs into the same boat, which I guess is a small, whatever they're at, is very small because he runs into them as well. And you know, Davy Jones released the Kraken on them, and this whole entire sequence is phenomenal. Like, I know we're going to talk about the music a little bit later, but like everything with the music, just the way the Kraken looks.
Bro, I can hear the Kraken's theme in my head right now.
Yeah. And I love that, like, they say it first here, it was like, oh my God, we must have hit a reef. And they say it again, and Will catches on like, no, it's not a reef. It's not that. Like, I've been through this before. And like this whole entire sequence of the Kraken taking down this ship is insane. I love the one scene. The guy is like, he has the dress. He's like, here, take it. He thinks it's the dress, the reason why they're getting attacked. But this whole entire sequence is amazing. I remember when I saw the trailer and seeing that they was gonna have the Kraken in this movie, I said, oh my God, this is about to be insane. Like, and then I was like, and then watching this movie, I'm like, how can they go bigger than this?
Incredible. Oh my God, the CGI looks so good on the. It looks real in certain spots, especially at the end when it comes back and it's like kind of the tentacles are like going over the cannons. Yeah. Oh my God, it looks so good. And then, one of my favorite shots is when we actually see the Kraken's body under the ship, under the water.
Yeah, when Will jumps in the water and you can see the Kraken underneath the water. Yeah, 'cause all you see is the tentacles go up in the water. You never actually see the full thing until you see it in At World's End, but you know, we'll say what happens to the Kraken then. But that is a great shot when Will sees the Kraken underneath the water. So yeah, I think after that, Will ends up back on the Flying Dutchman, but he's not seen because now Davy Jones knows that everyone is going after the chest. He's like, now we have to go to where the chest is because we now know that everyone is going after it.
Right, and so Will just goes away.
Yeah, yep. He's on the ship, but he's not seen. Right, and I think this where leads
y'all going there anyway. I'm gonna just hit your ride.
Yeah. So Jack Sparrow, obviously he recruited all these people from Tortuga because he needed all these souls just in case they all die. Okay, that settles my death. Norrington and of course Elizabeth ends up in the crew as well. And this is the parts where I was like confused a lot about the way Keira Knightley was playing Elizabeth in this movie. Like she was kind of like going back and forth, I guess a little bit between Jack and Will, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like is this really about to be a thing?
I remember feeling like that. Yeah, I remember feeling like that the first time I saw it, but then like after a couple of watches, I kind of caught on. She was like playing Jack. She was convincing the first time.
Yeah, it's weird because it's weird because she has the compass and she looks at it one time and I guess it points at Jack like twice though.
Right.
Like I think like when she's on the boat, it points to Jack and she's like, nope. And she gives another look. I'm like, are you really thinking about that for real? And then when she's on the beach, she does it again and is pointing at Jack again. She's like, man, this thing just don't work. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously that would confuse the viewer, but you know, like I said, later on it's revealed that she's playing Jack.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think after that, now we're on where, like I said, they're all going to where the chest is. They find out where the chest is, and to me, then you got the Kraken scene at the end. This is probably my second favorite sequence in the movie, because this is where one of those sequences where it just feel like it just don't stop. So like we first start off with they go get the chest. Will shows up and they start doing this fight. Like, it's just they're fighting on this beach, which the beach is literally getting surrounded by water as they're fighting. Like, the whole beach is like, it's turning into water at this point. Like, if you notice it, by the time they get to the beach, it's like surrounded by water. There's no more beach. And like they move from the beach and then they go to like this like abandoned like well house, and with this big like wheel. They end up fighting on this wheel. The wheel breaks off. Like, oh my god! Like, I like, shout out to the director, shout out to the action coordinator, shout out to all the stunts and all this stuff. They really nailed this entire sequence, man. The fact that like Jack is fighting Norrington and then he turns the tables on Will. It's like, hold on, like it wasn't me. It was Will that destroyed your life, because he the one that broke me out.
Right, and then all three of them start fighting each other, and then Norrington gets the upper hand on Jack. So Norrington and Will are kind of like aligned for a moment. And
then he turns the table on both of them, getting them to fight so he can get away. Yeah, but this whole sequence is crazy, because then Davy Jones' crew shows up and rejoins into the whole thing. We got the two guys that were part of a part of Barbosa's crew taking the chest for themselves. It's like just so much going on, and then Elizabeth joins in and starts into the fight. It's like so much happening within this one sequence, and it's pretty crazy.
All right, and then that's when the Kraken shows up again, which is another great sequence. Yeah. Like, for all the setup and the long scenes, there are the 3 or 4 action scenes make up for that. It's so big, and it's just it's very lively and busy. Like you said, it just doesn't stop.
Yeah. Because like I said, after that, they get back onto the ship, and then Davy Jones just shows up, and they get into like a little bit of a ship fight, and they outrun them, and they're like, oh, they're giving up. It's like, no, he has the Kraken. He doesn't have to do anything.
He got the Kraken, right?
He got the Kraken. He don't have to do anything.
Right, that's his guard dog. Like,
yeah, like he ain't gotta do anything. That's why it's like, it's funny because the one of his side guys like, we're giving up, and he just gives a look. He's like, oh, I know what we're about to do. It's like, we're about to release the Kraken again. Let's go. But one thing I do love is that Will already been through, like, he saw a ship get taken down by the Kraken, so he knew, like, okay, we got to do these certain things first. Like, let's get all the cannons lined up, because it's gonna come up from the sides. We're gonna shoot the cannons, and then if that don't work, we're gonna make sure we just cause an explosion just so we can divert it away or something. And like I said, this whole sequence is fire, man. This whole sequence is fire.
Yeah. And while the Kraken is attacking the Pearl, everybody's jumping ship, because it's the end now.
Right.
And Elizabeth and Jack are on the Pearl, and she tricks Jack and ties him to the Pearl. He's like, the Kraken wants you. Like, we free. We about to go.
Yeah,
So
which I'm crazy
and
that
he
I'm
looks at
surprised
it
that
and
nobody really caught on to that. That nobody catch on to that. That the Kraken was
but
technically after
Will the only
Jack.
one that Will knew that the Kraken was after Jack, and he saw what Elizabeth did, and like from then on he kind of like side eyeing her.
Yeah,
Because he saw at first he saw her kiss him, and then he realized what she was really doing. It was like, man, Elizabeth dirty.
Yeah. And that's the one thing why I like I said, I didn't really like Elizabeth that much in this movie. Because she just kept giving me those type of vibes. Like, what is your plan? What was your plan all along?
She felt inconsistent.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this third act is pretty fire. This third act is pretty.
Oh yes, it's phenomenal. Because after that, after they escape and she leaves Jack frees himself. And then he just launches himself into the mouth of the Kraken, and it takes down the pearl. And it's just this epic scene of Jack doing what nobody really expects him to do, and he's actually going down with the ship like a captain should.
Well, not even that. He
could have jumped and just swam. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's really, that scene really shows who Jack is in that moment, because he's doing what he needs to do. He's like, well, the pearl's going down, my crew got away. Yeah. May as well just jump head first into it. So and then they go back to Tia Dalma, and everybody's mourning Jack, and again Will is giving Elizabeth the side eye, like, I saw what you did. But he ain't really saying it though. Yeah.
But I think in that moment they all realized that, like, Jack played us. He was, he has his ways, but I think at the end of the day, he is a good guy, and he ended up doing the right thing. Like you said, he could have just ran away and said, no, F you guys, but he came back and he took the shot. So that's why they all just made the pact was like, we're going to go get him. Like, we're just going to do it, And to me, I love this setup where it's like, so we're on to another adventure, and of course we gotta wait till the next movie to see what happens. Yeah. But I do like that.
The setup in this movie is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The last scene of this movie. Oh my God. So
when Barbossa just comes out
Tia
of nowhere.
Dalma pretty much says, you gotta go to the ends of the earth to find Jack Sparrow. But if you're gonna find him, you need somebody who has been in those waters before. And then we see the boots come down the stairs, and lo and behold, it's Captain Barbossa. And I love this scene because it's subtle, but it's important. He's eating an apple, which is so important, because he was not able to eat anything in the previous movie. And that is, I love that moment. And then the credits start rolling. I love that scene. That's the one thing that I really love about like second movies, because Hunger Games did the same thing with Catching Fire and Mockingjay Part 1. The way those movies end, oh my God.
And it kind of saves the movie, after, especially Mockingjay. When you watch that entire movie, then you get to the ending, it's like, oh yeah, now I gotta watch the next one, like for sure. It was kind of foreshadowed earlier as well when they first met with her. You see the monkey goes into the room, and you see some boots laid up in the bed. They focus on it just for a quick second. You miss it.
It's a quick second.
They offer up the monkey for payment, I guess, and she's like, "All right, I'll take it." And the monkey just runs to the bedroom. It's like, there's something back there. You don't know who it is yet. And it turns out it was Barbossa, which I do agree. I do love this ending, like. And it gets you hype for the next movie. Which,
Yes.
yeah, like I said, I think, I know his name is Gore. I can't think of his last name, but I think he did a fabulous job with
Gore
did he do the
Verbinski.
first movie? Did he do all three, or did he just do this one and the third one? Did he do the entire?
I think he
trilogy?
did all three. Yeah, he did all three.
Okay, yeah, which is nice because it feels consistent. All these movies feel very consistent with one another because obviously the same person made them. It does help that Jerry Bruckheimer is the producer of all three as well. Like he was attached to him as well. One thing I wanted to talk about though before we get into ratings is the amazing score by one of the goats, Hans Zimmer. When I was watching it, I totally forgot that he did the score. And the score is phenomenal, man. Like I said, I think at this time when I was watching this movie, I didn't know who Hans Zimmer was. I didn't know who he was until I watched The Dark Knight. Because even with Batman Begins, I wasn't really focusing on who did the music and stuff like that. It wasn't really until I was watching like The Dark Knight or like Inception. I was like, who is this person doing this music? Because it sounds similar with one another, and obviously it was Hans Zimmer. But if you listen to his earlier scores, they don't really sound like they sound now. I guess you would say with his most recent projects. This one feels more like orchestrated and. Like the main pirate theme, the dun 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 dun. That feels like it kind of feels like I would say like John Williams-esque like type feel. Yeah, a
little bit.
Yeah, so I love the score. I love the Kraken theme. I just think he did a great job with the music.
Yeah, I could agree more. Going back to what you said about his earlier scores versus his later scores. His earlier scores were a lot more traditional. But as he progresses, he gets a lot more experimental.
Yeah.
The three scores that come to mind that are like that are Dune.
I knew he was gonna say
The Dark Knight, because he would like make new sounds for The Dark Knight. Like the Joker sound is a sound we've never heard before.
Like winding is like a winding, like that winding. Oh my god, I'm about to watch The Dark Knight. Gotta watch The Dark Knight now.
Yeah, and Man of Steel. Man of Steel has such a distinct sound.
Yeah.
And those are like three very experimental scores, but this score is much more traditional. Like you said, it does sound more like a John Williams-esque score. And the thing about this score is that it fits so well with the kind of movie that this is, because these movies are perfect examples, or I won't say perfect examples, but these are the quintessential pirate movies. We've had a handful of pirate movies before, but nothing like this, nothing to this scale, nothing that gets it right and nails it. And like as far as the aesthetic and the tone, top to bottom, they nail it. And the music plays a major part in that. And it fits with the movie like a glove. So just echoing everything you said, it's a phenomenal score.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get into those ratings. Alex, you go first this time. What would you give this?
I'm after talking about it with you and going over, how we feel about the movie. I do agree with you. I now like watching it the other night. I was feeling some of the runtime like I've never noticed before. I noticed that certain parts were pretty lengthy. So I'm dwindling between a 4 and a 4.5. It's probably going to be a very low 4.5 out of 5. I really do love this movie. It is my favorite in the franchise. Like I said, I just love the way this movie looks. I love how big it is. I love the action set pieces. Obviously, I think at World's End, the main third act is obviously bigger than this third act, but it's the third movie, so of course it had to be. But I just think that what they was able to do with a sequel, for me to outdo the first movie, I think they did a good job.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go quite as high as you, I still love this movie. I very much enjoy it, but that enjoyment did go down a tad bit. And like you said, feeling the length, and for me specifically, feeling a little bit more of that setup. But for all that stuff that I felt, it makes up for it with the action set pieces. It's a very big, very fun movie, and I still enjoy myself. So I'm gonna go with 4 really strong Jolly Rogers out of 5. Well, we'd love to know what you think about Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest. Please leave a comment, write a review. It helps the podcast. Hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. But that about wraps it up for this episode. I'm Jay Stu.
I'm Alex Thomas.
And as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing.